take us to the day you were, I mean, you go to war, you come back in 1980, eventually you are integrated into the National Army. Tell us about your process of being integrated into the National Army.
First of all, what I would like really to say is to recognize my ZPRA High Command, and to those that are late, may their spirits rest in peace. Also recognize the front commanders who were there at that time, and I'm sure some of them rest in peace. And also recognize my senior commanders I was with, and further recognize the ranks, similar ranks to me, which at that time were equivalent lieutenant colonels, and then the junior officers and men, and may those departed rest in peace. In 1979, I think it was 1979, the end of 1979, we were loaded into trains, into a train coming back to Rhodesia then. It was coming through Victoria Falls. I'm not too sure whether they knew exactly where they were taking us to, whether it was an afterthought for that train to take us from Zambia through to Rhodesia. At the time, we were about 5 battalions, commanded as follows. 1st Battalion was commanded by Paul Ncube, the late Paul Ncube, citizen. The 2nd was commanded by a guy I always called Zuba. Can't remember his name when he came back home. Another one by Jack Matuaza. That's the 3rd Battalion. The 4th Battalion was commanded by myself. The brigade, the whole brigade was commanded by B12. Seconded by Sonen, Chief of Staff Kumalo Madliwa, known as Madliwa Stanford Kumalo Brigadier. The member of High Command that was attached to us was Mike Reynolds. So we left Zambia, tracked down by train. When we got to, I think it was, what would you call it? I think it was in Tundla. The train stopped, and we were all taken to Kwai River Mine, where we were all stationed. We were given deployment areas by Kumalo. He just gave us from the map where each one of us will be. Oh, I forgot the 5th Battalion was commanded by Butolezwe. A very nice guy as well. So that's our story coming back into Rhodesia.
So how long do you stay in Kwai before you are integrated?
We were in Kwai for a few months. You know, you'll forgive me, I can't remember the dates very well because I wasn't even bothered about the dates. For a little while, we were in Kwai. What was going on there in Kwai is that we had members that had not come in for the, you know, when we were coming into the what to call these assembly points.
Assembly points, yes.
Yeah, some gentlemen decided not to come in. I know it was out of fear most of the times. They were not certain what was going to happen, or they were not too sure what was going to happen. And so they had not come in. So we stayed in Kwai for a little while. And at that particular time, the Rhodesians decided they wanted to find out exactly how good or how bad we were if we were to attack them in an infantry setting. So they decided to have an exercise with us. And that exercise would involve one ZPRA unit and their own unit as well, which was going to be two separate exercises. So I was appointed by Khumalo to conduct that particular exercise. If you refer to the chronicle, you'll see the exercise. So I was appointed by Khumalo to conduct that particular exercise. Unfortunately, I lost just one man there, which was very, very unfortunate. We conducted this exercise using weapons as well, firing quite a distance. It was the long range. We used to have a long range Katusha, one barrel a piece, which could be used by battery. And we fired these weapons and fired our own weapons and did the exercise. And the Rhodesians looked at what we were doing and the way we were conducting this particular exercise. And they decided not to carry on with their own exercise to show us how they were going to counterattack us. They decided to retreat, to withdraw, and just show us their weapons, just how much they are powerful their weapons were in firing, but they were quite inferior to what we were done. So from that time on, after that had been determined, I think it was a strategy, I don't know. I think it was a strategy to find out how powerful we were. It is then we're asked to go in and bring these gentlemen who did not come to assembly points back to the assembly point, Kwai.
So if you look at the later events where there's a lot of infiltration at Kwai and the whole arms of the arms catch, do you think it could have been influenced by this particular exercise?
It was an influence because you see, when you look at it completely, it was an influence. This exercise did make a lot of sense to them because they did not think we were so good at the command and control, at weapon handling, at controlling all our troops when we put our troops together with everything. They did not expect this. So for them, it was a shock. And I think at this time they went into their drawing board. And when they went into their drawing board, they decided when we were coming into what you call it, from the exercise of bringing these other guys from the bush into the assembly point, they now started integrating the units. So during this time, the aim, I believe the aim, and I think my honorable senior commanders will correct me here, the aim at this particular time was completely to disband and destroy ZPRA infrastructure. Whatever ZPRA structure was, they aimed at destroying it. And obviously, I know some commanders, some senior commanders, the front commanders have spoken about this, but I'm not going to track back to the history they have said, but I'm just going to dwell into this one. I think it was the this that really made them get a higher determination to destroy ZPRA, you know. So the integration and everything else determined to take particularly the senior people completely and made them nothing. And the roles were reversed. Interestingly, the roles were completely reversed, you know. So that's where we were.
So you get to be integrated in the National Army. What position are you given?
I went into Zimbabwe Military Academy in Kweru. I is leading my unit as a battalion commander. And we found a gentleman that had failed once or twice, called Peter. He came in with us then. And well, obviously we were well trained. I did better than him. But because we had one gentleman who first like a Rhodesian trained gentleman who was now the training officer, he decided that he wanted this guy to take over the battalion. Masugo objected to that. And because he objected to that quite strenuously, they removed me from the battalion because I couldn't go in as the battalion twice. This battalion was going to Sape. And they removed me from the battalion and promised that they would get me into a better position and I should retain my rank as a battalion commander equivalent as I'm coming into, which was a lieutenant colonel equivalent as I'm coming to Rhodesia. Yeah.
Do you get that post eventually?
Politics played a major role into it. There was fighting. Battalions started turning onto each other. This means Zanla against ZPRA. Firstly, as I remember very well, we were going into, I was with Kumalo, Stanford Kumalo, now General. We went into Ntabazinduna looking for Paul Ngube. And when we got into Ntabazinduna, we found an atmosphere that I cannot describe to you, but Kumalo immediately spotted that our lives are in danger and said, hey, drive out, because we had noticed that Paul was not there. He had left the camp. So we immediately left. And we were so fortunate that they didn't shut the gate for us. We just drove off. And as we went off and went into Blawayo, we noticed that all the roads were now closed. They were killing people everywhere, left, right, and center. So because of those units that were now fighting 1-3, joining in Tumbane, Konmara, 2-5, all these units, there was a decision made that the unit that was in Kwai, that was in Gutu, was likely going to sympathize with these fights. So I was asked by what's the name of one of our commanders was his name. Sorry, sometimes my memory is so bad. I was asked by anyway, I'll remember the name. They asked me to go to Gutu. Please, can you go to Gutu and stop this fighting? We do not want this fighting anymore. Changane, actually, it was Changane. He called me to his office and asked me specifically, yes, we know you are not a major, you are a lieutenant colonel, but please, can you go accept to deputize this guy in Gutu and stop ZPRA from fighting. That's when I ended up going to Kutu. And lo and behold, yes, the fighting was just about to start in Kutu.
So what caused these fights? Was it just because people had grudges, or?
These fights were chiefly engineered by politicians. I don't know whether you're young. Kala used to talk a lot. And Kala had just come out of prison and he was there, and they thought that Zandla was more capable in the field than ZPRA. So they used to talk a lot of horrible statements. They would give you a lot of statements that were quite inciting. And soldiers, if you incite them the way that was happening in that period of time, will react exactly as you want. So these reactions were primarily because of politicians. But ZANU is an interesting organization. They are connected to their people. So what they were really attempting to do with this was simple to disintegrate ZPRA, simple to take senior commanders into bits so that they cannot control us at any one time. And this is exactly what happened, because as the fighting came up, the senior commanders failed to have a role on ZPRA. Yet they had a role, Zandla had a role. They knew exactly what their men were doing. So slowly, our high command started chipping away from controlling their men. They started having nothing to do with their men because of this particular political setup now that was there. But Zandla held on to their troops. They knew what that they were doing, you know. But we went in, I think, blindly. We were so disciplined and went in blindly with the high command that was also disciplined. They went in blindly into this thing and were trapped into it. And to go out of it and go back out of it was one of the most difficult things of the era.
Yeah, we fast forward, you have issues like the arms catch, and somewhere, I mean, when the arms catch are discovered, you're already in the army.
I'm already in the army, yes.
Yeah. So, and then around 1982, you see September going to December, you see a lot of tourists start to be killed. The German couple is gunned down. Farmers in Nyamandlovu are killed. Where are you when these events are happening?
I'm in one brigade at that particular time. I've moved from Kutu back to Harare, and then I've been asked again by Changane, because he was saying we're short of staff officers, and I've been asked to go to Mtare to act as staff officer grade 2, which was really below what I was supposed to be doing. But he really requested me, so I had to apply. I went there. And then I went to Bulawayo eventually, because I was seeing no future in this. So when all these things are happening now, when the tourists are come down, when everything is together, I'm now in Bulawayo.
So are you called on to react to this?
No, I was just a board of inquiry officer. I'm just nothing now other than a board of inquiry officer. It's grade 2. It's not the rank that the position that I should be doing, but it's an excuse for a officer like me to be given board of inquiry. So I'm conducting board of inquiries at this time.
Yeah, a lot of interesting things happen before when you're a board of inquiry. But one of the things, I mean, when I was reading a book by Stuart Doran, he talks about you driving when past the area where two Germans had been shot. Do you remember the incident?
Yes, I do.
Yes. What happened?
I was going with my troops it was a section of sports guys. I had taken them to Wanke. We arrived at this place, and where these tourists, the initial 767 tourists had been taken from. And as we arrived, I noticed at the far end, because we're going to, I think it was in the far left, on a tree, there's a tree there, there's a big baobab on my right-hand side. I'm going to Victoria Falls. And on the left-hand side, there is a small tree which is just next to a fence, but it's quite big. And the baobab tree is where people rest. So I noticed a motorcycle there. I noticed that people were hovering around there. So I'm saying, what happened here? And the lieutenant that was there came over to me and gave me asked who I was. I told him, and he said, "No, I'm sorry, sir. We are looking at the position where this person who killed these two tourists was stopped." I said, "Okay." I ordered my troops to come off and check around. They came off. We started looking around, and we're helping just to find out where this dissident could have been. They were where he could have shot these people from. And as we're doing that, somebody, in my mind, that was a proper dissident, came up, approached us, and I ordered these troops to gun him down. But this lieutenant said, no, 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 you can't do that. I said, what's the reason? He said, no, he's an infiltrator. He's been infiltrated to capture the dissident. I said, what? No, he's infiltrated to capture the dissident. I said, okay, fine, no problem. I greeted the guy. And the guy said, what are you looking for? We told him. And he said, no, I can show you, I can help you. And he went exactly to the same spot and picked up the cartridge and said, the guy fired from here. So in my mind was, how did he know that the guy fired from there? When we have been looking everywhere and combing the thing up to the old third road there. This is when he says, oh, the guy seems to have fired the gun from here.
So
Killing those
definitely,
people.
so he knew what was going on. If it was not him,
He knew. The question I left there having is, did he know? And why did he go directly to where that cartridge was?